Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Nick's vlog. And again, I train Nick a little different than a lot of other people. We still use linear progression for him because, again, he is nowhere near his strength potential. He, again, has been on a long weight loss journey and is a marathon runner. So I've pretty much kept him this entire time on some slow linear 4 day a week programming. And again, we've run into a little bit of some minor health stuff recently that he's now bounced back from, so we're good. We have medical clearance to train again. We're bringing him back up. And again, keeping in mind, if you guys go back and watch the earlier vlogs, this is a man who's continued to lose body weight for all of this. He's continued to lose body weight. Now, I will probably in the near future take him over to some different programming. We'll probably eventually do some conjugate type stuff. Even though we have very, very minimal equipment, I can still make conjugate work. I can make it work quite easily just with what he has. And some people will say, well, how would you do that? I mean, he's got a barbell, he's got adjustable dumbbells, a reverse hyper, some bands. I'm like, that's enough. That's more than enough. I can make that work. Again, just understanding how to program it. Plus, he's not an advanced lifter. But again, notice that he has lost even more body weight, continued to lose weight. This is a guy who is well over 400 pounds, by the way. He's very tall also. He's well above 6 foot. So a tall guy who's well over 400 pounds. He lost most of that weight on his own by running. Took up marathon running. Had previously done a little bit of lifting. Had never gotten what he thought was a good strength base because he tried to do it on his own, but he had always followed the channel. So he had come to me saying, look, I'm going to need help with this. It's going to be a long-term investment for me. I'm going to stick this out for the long haul. And I believe him because, again, I can tell a lot of you people out there when you're looking for clients, even if you're a strength coach who wants to work with power lifters or anything else, this is the sort of client that you want because they're going to be consistent. And the thing is, you can take an individual like this who, again, has a good work capacity because he's been marathon running, got a big frame. He's lost a lot of body weight, so at any point his body is ready to rebound and gain as much weight as you would need him to, potentially in terms of muscle because of his frame size. And so this is someone who eventually will be very, very strong. And people say, well, he's still working with these sort of numbers we see him using here. It's like, yeah, but this is during a weight loss journey. Right? He's been on a weight loss journey this entire time. Okay, so context. Well, I do want him to speed up these band press downs. But, what happens if we fast forward 5 years? Okay, when he has eventually reached the body weight goals he wants to reach, and then we can just put tons and tons of lean tissue on him. Because we've gained strength all this time, so his body composition has improved, not just his body weight. So for those curious what we're doing right now at this phase of the training, notice his upper body days here. We do 5s on the flat bench. I have him do 10s on a dumbbell bench. We do some one-arm dumbbell rows, right? Again, I'll eventually take him to some pull-ups and stuff if he's able to do them in the future. And then we do band work at the moment. I have him do band press downs, band pull aparts, making sure we're hitting the posterior deltoids good, getting more tricep. All right, lower body days, also very straightforward. We do 5s on the back squat. We do 5s on the deadlift. We only do one set of deadlifts. And then we do higher reps for goblet squats and the reverse hyperextension. And that reverse hyper shines for people like this because we have, again, a master's athlete, right? Master's athlete who, again, jogs, he runs, he does marathons. So that's very high impact. So if we can work on that, it will give him better support for his low back, for his hips, everything else, to help keep him from getting as beat up from running. But, what I look forward to one day with Nick, because, again, we've discussed it, he's probably going to be with me for years. Again, if all goes well with his health and stuff, he's going to be with me for years. So this could be an interesting vlog if I'm still doing vlogs 3, 4, 5 years from now, which is very possible. We've got to question, where is he going to be at? Okay. Again, we're getting close to being at a body weight to where we don't need to worry about, body fat anymore. It gets to a point to where then we can just slowly put lean muscle on and recomp a little bit over time. Is he going to squat 500 pounds? I think with his frame size, I think he will. Right? Is this a guy who's going to bench over 315 one day? Probably. Yeah, I think so. It's just, some of the simplest training that I use. And I think that can be the frustration, though, for these long-term weight loss clients, though, with their strength. And I have another guy who's like this, much, much younger, who I'm working with, who's lost like 200 pounds also. Now he's struggling. He's trying to lose his last 20 pounds to reach his goal weight, of 200 pounds himself. And now he's floundering. His deadlifts are regressing, and a lot of other things. He feels beat up. We have to deload him often. Now this is a guy who's built a bigger strength base. He's deadlifting over 400 for reps. Okay. So in that case, though, that continual deficit, because that individual has, the entire time I've had him and he's been lifting, he's never been in a surplus, just like Nick never has either. And it can be frustrating for those people when their strength stalls and sometimes regresses a little bit. And, you've got to remind them, is that while you're continuing this weight loss journey, that's going to happen a lot more often. Okay? It's going to happen a lot more often. And they can get frustrated at times. So just be aware of this, if you're someone who's in those situations to where you're very, very overweight. I don't mean just 50 pounds. I'm talking about people who need to lose over 100 pounds. When you do start training and you get focused on the performance like this, you're going to have to be patient. You have to be patient because you're in a situation where your body is not going to want to gain lean tissue past a certain threshold while you're in that deficit. It might do it for a year. Eventually it's going to stall. Whereas with someone like Nick, he's patient with it. He's not worried about it. We're just seeing a slow general upward trend in the weights he can use on the bar. We're staying uninjured. We're staying healthy. And he's mentally able to handle that because he's older, more mature, and understands that this is a long game. But that's the way you have to approach it with someone like this. You can't get greedy for weight loss. You can't get greedy for weight on the bar. It's going to be a slow process, but it's going to be worth it, and the time is going to pass anyways. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.